Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where this week we give our WNBA playoff reactions and preview the NBA Southeast Division. As a reminder, you can hear this podcast the day before it hits YouTube by checking out Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And to get you started, I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith and co host Logan Hatfield. How we doing, fellas?
Doing good, doing good. It's been quite the week for the WNBA. I'm excited to get talking about that. I know you've been waiting to speak your
Oh,
mind on
yeah.
it.
Logan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. A little bit better now that I have recovered from the WNBA exposing my ineptitude in being able to pick a bracket. But um, you never know
Yeah,
what's going to
famous
happen come playoff time.
bracket.
Yeah, I am. May have not got my finals prediction right. The dream may not be there, but I'm still living a dream because it has been quite a start to the WNBA playoffs.
Hey, that first series was a fever dream.
That you're not wrong.
Mm.
But we will go ahead and get started with a look back at the first round where Minnesota beat Golden State in two, Las Vegas beat Seattle in three, Indiana beat Atlanta in three, Phoenix beat New York in three. Great. Anyways, what storyline stood out to you all throughout all this? Colton, we'll go to you first.
How about the Mercury? I mean, a team effort in game two. We kind of just counted them out going up against Liberty, who we thought were finals contenders. Then they became semifinals contenders, and they didn't even make it out of the first round. But we all had them moving on to the next round. And despite the fact that throughout the season we had kind of talked about the Mercury as like a really sneaky team. Well, they did just what you would think them to do as a sneaky team. But five different players scored double digits in an 86-60 win in game two. And then Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabali take over with 23-12 for Sabali and 20-11 and 11 for Alyssa Thomas. How about that for a triple-double combo? The Lynx took game one, but as we found in round one, that doesn't really mean anything for this Mercury team. They're not afraid. They're not phased. So I'm not saying – I mean, the Lynx obviously look like the better team, but I would have said that about the Liberty in game one. So this Mercury team, there's more than meets the eye and could most certainly pull off an upset. And then the second one I had there was the Storm putting up a fight. They took game two behind 50 combined points from Skylar and Aneka. Fell just 1 point short in game three against the hottest team. I mean, they just had the unfortunate thing of having to go up against the best player in the world, right? Like 38 points from Aja Wilson. That's just how it is. And don't tell the Fever about it because they don't seem very they might know about it, but they're not very phased by it in game one. And that would probably be the other storyline. Aces, you were hot, but somebody got a little hotter here over the last couple days. So I'll let you guys take it from there.
Logan, what you got?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Minnesota and Vegas for making me look smart. However, Indiana and Phoenix, congratulations for making me look dumb. They did their thing, and I want to let it be known, if you go deep enough into the archives, I did say that the Phoenix Mercury had the team to potentially win the WNBA Finals. So I have a new rooting interest now, just so that that my prediction can end up being right. But I still am feeling good about my finals prediction, despite the game one performance. And that was my first note, was the game one Aja Wilson disappearing act. Fresh off of that MVP, not her best performance. Kind of a tough look, literally like the day after you win MVP or technically the day she won MVP, to go out and put that performance up in the semifinals. It's kind of a rough look, but it's Aja Wilson, and I have no reason to believe that play is going to continue. If anything, that only means that a 35-20 and 5 game is coming in game two. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And my other note is the Indiana Fever, are they the team of destiny? Like, I'm getting like insane team of destiny vibes out of them. And what does that mean if they can win a title without Caitlin Clark? What does that mean for when she comes back?
This is what Tyrese Halliburton died for. Was this Fever
Right.
championship? Some say it might be the resurrection of Daniel Jones, and that's yet to be seen. But it's certainly happening so far. I think maybe the Fever championship was what Tyrese Halliburton put his Achilles on the line for. I can just like imagine him before the game getting the news that he had to trade his Achilles for a Fever championship, and he's just that much of a baller.
That's real, honestly.
That's nuts. But if that's the case, I got to give Halliburton props for more than one reason. Man, wow.
Yeah, he's my shooting star if that's the case. But we mentioned Asia Wilson. Yeah, that was 16 points that she had in that first game stinker. But more about the power friendship and the Indiana Fever. Down 5 players for the season. And then a 6th in Demiris Dantas, who has gone through concussion protocol for the whole playoffs. Don't know what that's about. This isn't football, so I'm a little confused about that and concerned for her health. But still knock off the 3 seed Atlanta Dream. Started the series with a 19 turnover game. Thought they were cooked, obviously, from that point on. They were outscored 62-47 after leading in that first quarter. But then they answered with a 17-point win on 15 of 15 shooting from the free throw line and 42% shooting from deep. Then in game 3, they only led for 7 seconds in the second half, but it was the most important 7 seconds of the second half. They went on a 7-0 run at the end to clinch the series, and it goes without saying, you can't say enough about Kelsey Mitchell. She's been playing to an all-star level, to the all-NBA first team that she was designated to. She's been played incredible in that game 3 and game 1 of the semifinals, where she set playoff career highs for herself in both of those games. But the other one I wanted to mention was Dominique Malonga. You had mentioned it. Colton, Seattle played really well, but Malonga was a big difference in Seattle kind of turning the momentum there in that series. It was just a nuisance, honestly, on the defensive end to Asia and provided them some offense on the other side as well. She was the youngest player to ever record a double-double in WNBA playoff history. So shout out to her and all the bigs that made it difficult on the Aces. Of course, they came up 1 play short, but for the rookie to have such a performance against, probably the greatest WNBA player of all time, that's quite a statement in your rookie year. So shout out to her.
Kelsey Mitchell wears number 0. Tyrese Halliburton wears number 0. I rest my case.
Hashtag noticing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely my shooting star. It's finalized now. But we will go ahead and move on to our NBA division preview as we are previewing the Southeast Division. We will go from the worst to the best of last season. So I will go first with the Washington Wizards. What a great squad. What a fun squad. They were 18-64 last season. Terrific. 14th in the East, last in that Southeast Division. Their offseason adds, they got Cam Whitmore in a trade and added Marvin Bagley. Sweet. Their offseason losses, Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey. Looking at this, the best part of the team, the vets, I guess. If I have to, it's kind of hard to find the best part of this team. Chris Middleton and McCollum are going to be playing some UNC basketball, so I guess that'll be fun to watch if you are into that sort of thing. The worst part of this team is everything else. It's going to be another rough year in Washington. They did draft Trey Johnson, so I'm excited to see how he plays, especially when he gets to jack up 45 shots a game. So that'll be fun to see. But Washington's in for a long, long year. Any thoughts from you all?
May I make an addition to the best? I would say for the best, Bilal Koulibaly, if I could say his name. That
Okay,
would be
yeah.
awesome. But that's a guy I've always kind of had circled as somebody I'm waiting for to have that breakout year. I think he had a great year. And I think kind of a little bit with the young talent, I think Bub Carrington's got some upside that to be excited for. And I would Alex Sarr obviously as well. I would say if I'm a Wizards fan, yeah, there's going to be a lot of unk ball with Middleton and McCollum. Middleton did say this team was going to be in the playoffs this year, so we'll see if the prophecy holds true. I mean, if there's a year that the Wizards would bullshit their way into a playoff appearance, it's going to be this year in the East. But we'll see about that. But yeah, if I was a Wizards fan, I would just be looking forward to see what Bilal has in his third year. I think he's a rookie.
So, yeah.
I think he was a rookie. I watched him opening day at the Pacers game, and I was like, that guy's pretty good. And he's just had an up and down rookie year, but he's definitely showed some last year. But Alex Sarr and Keyshawn George, I think those guys are kind of the projected stars according to what I have pulled up here, and would be what I'm looking forward to. And Cam Whitmore is a guy who I have always had faith in, so hopefully this is the spot where he finds that. And Anthony Gill, can't forget to mention that legend.
What a guy.
He exists.
But Colton, I think you got the next one with the Hornets.
Yes, Hornets, another team with just a storied history in they don't really have a storied history. They last season they lost, or this offseason they lost Seth Curry, Taj Gibson, Yusuf Nurkic, Josh Okogie. So a lot of unks there. Jalen Sims and Mark Williams also out the door. They brought in Pat Connaughton, Spencer Dinwiddie, or Spencer Dinshitty, whichever you subscribe to. Con Knipple, Ryan Kalkbrenner, Liam McNeely. That was an interesting kind of draft pattern there. Mason Plumlee and Colin Sexton. That was their big move of the offseason was Colin Sexton. If I look at this team, I'm looking at their lineup. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, Miles Bridges, and then Grant Williams at center, maybe Mason Plumlee. Not sure exactly what our plan is there. And then you have Spencer Dinwiddie, Colin Sexton, Josh Green, Trey Mann, and Nick Smith Jr. Those are all NBA guards right there, if you ask me. Spencer Dinwiddie depends upon what day. Probably the same for Josh Green for here and there. But those are guys I think should be getting backup point guard minutes on like half the NBA. And you have them all on the same team here. I don't really know what the plan is there. The best is on this team, it would be LaMelo Ball and what we've seen from Brandon Miller. Those two guys right there are what little hope this franchise has had this decade. And I don't really know if I have anything nice to say about this team outside of it. I'm not a Con Knipple subscriber. I never thought – I thought he was a good college player, but I never – saw the NBA. Hopefully it proves me wrong. But with how easy the East looks and my projection for Brandon Miller, Alex, you mentioned it last week, I could see them finding their way back in the playoffs, probably via the play-in, which is better than what they've had the last couple of years. If LaMelo Ball stays healthy, if LaMelo Ball does his thing, if Brandon Miller stays healthy and he does his thing, Miles Bridges, he averaged 20 points a game last year, so I guess he can do his thing too. But as far as the worst, I just think the fit. This just feels like a roster and not a team. They amassed a bunch of good players. Honestly, I'm a big Nick Smith Jr. guy, big Josh Green, and Colin Sexton. And those are some guys for me. But will they result in winning basketball? Not much size. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it, especially considering this is the Charlotte Hornets, who, since the Kemba days, have not shown any form of competence, and they showed very little competence back then. If I were to be really optimistic, best case scenario, maybe they're 42-42, but let's be honest, they're probably like 34 wins, and that's probably enough to make the play-in with how beautiful the East is shaping up this year.
Logan, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a really, really good point, talking about how they can make the play-in, which honestly might as well be renamed the Southeastern Division Invitational. And then, I feel like there's always a Southeastern team it's doing something crazy in the play-in. But I think it's just going to be a year of similar to what I think for the Wizards. It's just going to be a year of trying something, like trying something. They're gonna try a lot, and they're gonna throw a lot of different lineups out there because they want to see what's going to work for them long term. And I think in terms of that center debacle, I think they're since they don't really have anything to lose, so I think they might just let Ryan Kalkbrenner get some run out there and
It's true.
do his thing. And I think I talked about this in the draft about how he was one of the biggest winners just because he's gonna get a role right away, one way or another. So Ryan Kalkbrenner is gonna have his chance. And then I also think that it is disrespectful that you did not mention Summer League champion Charlotte Hornets winning the first trophy in team history.
That's huge.
Pretty important stuff for the boys out of Charlotte. But no, I think that like they have a lot of fun players. It's a similar thing to Washington. There's a lot of fun players. It's like you said, it just seems like a roster. There's no cohesion. It's just and again, I think we're gonna be saying that about a lot of teams in this division. And I think it is far and away the worst division in the NBA. But it baffles me how some of these rosters are put together. But I think the Hornets are going to be fun. Like you got guys like Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, who one or the other is always injured when the other one's not. So it's going to be good to see a full season of them, God willing, healthy. But yeah, I don't expect much out of Charlotte this year. I think you might be giving them too much credit, in my opinion. But it'll be fun.
Probably.
I don't know, Golden. I think I'm right there with you. Maybe just because I enjoy the way they drafted. I enjoy the college all-star team that they went for. And Zion James and Knipple have chemistry going in already. And then Liam McNeely and Cogbenner will just be able to go out there and score as much as they want to. Will they be able to? I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, I think again, it's the East, so you only have to win like 25 games to be in the running for play-in game. So I think they will definitely be in that spot, especially with Brandon Miller definitely going to get better, and I think LaMelo just going to get better every year. Will he be less of a turnover machine? We'll see. But I think if he takes that step and Brandon Miller takes just the overall step that we all imagine he will, this will definitely be a play-in team. One who does anything? Probably not. But one who'll be fun to watch. You're going to turn it on if you have League Pass. A couple of those games for sure.
No doubt.
And Logan, we'll go to you next with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, the Miami Heat finished last season with a record of 37-45. That was good enough for 10th in the Eastern Conference, and that led them to a play-in berth in which they made their way to becoming the 8th seed before they got absolutely curb stomped by the Cleveland Cavaliers. There wasn't much of a series there. But looking forward now to this season, coming off of the losses of Kyle Anderson, Haywood Highsmith, Kevin Love, Duncan Robinson, and the additions of Norman Powell, which sneaky good addition there. The re-signing of Davion Mitchell and the acquisition of Simone Fontecchio, as well as the drafting of Kasparis Jakučionis and a million different undrafted free agents, and I'm not going to name them all because besides Vlad Golden, I don't think many of them are going to get any run. But similar to what we mentioned, this is, in my opinion, this isn't really much of a roster. It's just a lot of players that happen to wear the same jersey. My pros, I do have a couple pros for their lineup. Obviously, Bam Adebayo is Bam Adebayo. You know what you're going to get out of him. Elite rim protection and like pretty underrated offense. But I'm not out on Nikola Jovic yet. I think he could be great. He's one of those like super high ceiling, but also like that floor could fall from under him. At the same time, Khalil Ware is their X factor this year, in my opinion. What he does in year 2 is going to show what the potential of this team long term is going to be. I was a big Khalil Ware fan in his rookie year, and I'm interested to see what he's going to do in year 2 with another year of development under his belt. And then also, like I mentioned before, I like the addition of Norman Powell, especially now that getting into my cons, Tyler Hero is set to miss 8 weeks. And looking at that kind of changes how this roster is going to look for me. It looks like the starting five is going to look something like Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, and Khalil Ware. I think any given night that starting five could absolutely lock up any team. I think that it's going to be hard to break 100 on that starting five consistently, but it also might be hard to score 100 with that lineup. So this is looking like a real old style basketball team that's going to be playing some of that, that late 80s, early 90s ball where, they were kind of gritting and grinding out wins, a la Memphis Grizzlies at times. But this team, I feel like has the ceiling of maybe like a 6 seed and the floor of a lot worse than that. I don't even know where I would put their floor just because of this Tyler Hero injury. And that because it changes how I look at it. If they are not a contender, I don't even say contender, but if they aren't in playoff contention by the time Tyler Hero comes back, I can't see this team wanting to keep this nucleus together. I would have to assume a guy like Norman Powell, who's in a contract year, probably out the door at the deadline, as well as Andrew Wiggins is another one I could probably see getting moved to a legitimate contender at that time. And then giving guys like Jaime Jaquez some more run and, kind of letting Davion Mitchell have the reins as well at guard, because who knows how long Tyler Hero is going to be out for. Tyler Hero is another guy who's due for an extension at the end of the year, but should the Heat choose not to sign him to said extension, they may look in other directions. Could this finally be the year that the Heat go out and get Giannis? Probably not, but it's a rumor every year regardless. And you have to give some validity to it. But I think the Heat, like I said, they are going to be a really good defensive team. I don't think people are going to give them enough credit for that. But I just don't think that offense is going to be enough to overcome some of the struggles that they're going to face, especially not having Tyler Hero, who I think was supposed to be the driver of this team. Now, I don't know. I don't know where that offense is going to come from. Like Davion Mitchell bringing the ball up the court doesn't really inspire a ton of confidence in me. I'll take Davion Mitchell against almost any guard in the NBA on defense, but I don't see his offensive ability being able to replace what you were getting out of Tyler Hero. I think Davion Mitchell's a great sixth man, but I don't think he can lead a team playing the one. So I'll leave it at that. I don't think this team can be better than like 45 wins, just because I don't know where that offense is going to come from. But like Norman Powell can score in bunches, but no one else on this team is, I don't think, that consistent of a scorer. Bam Adebayo is consistent in the fact that you know what you're going to get out of him, but he's not going to go out there and drop 30 for you every night. Like Tyler Hero can get a bucket the second he crosses half court on any given night, but you're not going to have him for a while. So it's gonna take a team effort, and I just don't know if they have that.
Colton?
Yeah, I see the defensive potential you're talking about. That's a really good point, and I think that's going to be their main identity. And Davion Mitchell's a very polarizing figure, I would say, because really he won them a playing game last season with his scoring. Trying to get the exact stats of my computers being incredibly slow. I just remember him being an absolute flamethrower and winning them that game. So the offensive potential is there, if you ask me. But is he going to really be able to tap into that? And you look at it in the Cavs series, he had 16, 18. Like he had shown up there towards the end as it finally loads where – okay, maybe I'm just completely remembering something that didn't happen, but I swear I remember Davion Mitchell having like a 30-piece. It's not coming up on here, though, so maybe I just misremembered that. So my bad on there. But I do think Davion Mitchell has it in him to be that guy, and I think that's going to be a big part of it. But obviously, the scoring is going to be the main thing, and then you lose your best scoring guard to start the year. What is this team going to look like to start? So, yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And we'll just have to really wait and see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I think that offense is going back to the Alonzo Mourning days and just low scoring, but good defense, and that's really all that matters. To your point, Davion Mitchell, he's proven he could be a good shooter, but can he go to that next level and be a good isolation scorer and floor general? And that will really be the difference for this team. My biggest question was kind of what you talked about, Logan. Do they trade? Who do they trade if they trade anybody? Will the front office finally stop being stubborn and trade these pieces that they need to trade, like Tyler Hero maybe or Asia Wilson's boyfriend? One of the two, I think, are people that need to be out the door this season, or they're really not trying to rebuild, and they're also not trying to put a competitive team on the floor. But I am excited to see how Davion Mitchell plays. The rest of the team doesn't make much sense. I think they've kind of been crumbling ever since they traded Jimmy, and they thought
Mhm.
that was what was wrong with the team. It wasn't. They just had nothing around him, and Jimmy pointed that out, and they didn't like it. But it may be a rough year in Miami, but if you play in the Southeast Division, that's okay. You're
Yeah,
still going to
anything's
compete.
possible.
So yeah, I think it'll be another rough year for Miami, but I think they finally get wise this year and trade those valuable pieces they could get a lot of return for.
Yeah. And the main thing is I think you can get the most value out of Norman Powell because I think Norman Powell is kind of just like a plug and play guy on any contender. He knows his role, he plays it well, and you saw what he was able to do with the Clippers last year, and he was scoring in bunches. The piece that they have that is also on an expiring contract this year that nobody will probably want is Terry Rozier. Like I don't think anybody's gonna want him.
What a
Um,
situation right there.
I
Scary
know.
Terry.
I think Terry Rozier is probably not going to get traded just because nobody wants him, or the Heat are going to have to possibly give up assets to get him off the roster, which could also be the case. I'd say I said Andrew Wiggins was a sneaky trade candidate, but looking at this more, he's 30 years old, due to make 28 million this year with a $30 million player option for next year. I don't know what team might want to take that on as well because if I'm Andrew Wiggins, I'm opting into that $30 million player option because I don't know if I could ever get that much money again on a contract. And like I said, Tyler Hero being due for that likely hefty extension. I believe I saw it was in the range of like a 3-year, 150 million. So I guess the Heat just better hope Tyler Hero doesn't make an All NBA team because that could end up skyrocketing his value in the future. But beyond that, the majority of their money is tied up in Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, and then a lot of very, very small rookie scale contracts beyond those top 5 guys. But yeah, can't wait to see them pay Simone Fontecchio $8 million because anybody can make $8 million in the NBA now. So
Let's go.
Let's go CBA.
All right, Colton. Well, you have the Hawks next.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad I got this. I remember ringing the bell for them back when they were making these offseason moves. I'm seeing pretty consistent arguments as I was doing research for this that they had the best offseason in the NBA is what people are saying. I'm not sure I'm going to go that far, but I honestly see it. They lost Clint Capella, Karis LeVert, Terrence Mann, Larry Nance Jr. Those are some really great role players right there. But they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Charles Bassey. I feel like that's kind of an interesting one. Caleb Houston, I was more surprised he's still in the NBA. Luke Kennard, Kristaps Porzingis, and they drafted Asa Newell with a 23rd overall pick. Personally, I don't know if that's the best fit. That's more because I'm not sure about Asa's skill set in the NBA. We'll find out. Hopefully he figures it out. But all in all, I think he's a talented enough player to justify the 23rd overall pick. The best part of this team is what they have built around Trae Young. Adding more defensive help with Alexander Walker, who is a great 3-and-D fit next to Trae, a nice spark on the bench if you want him to come off the bench. He could start in that 3 spot maybe, or you move Dyson Daniels to the 3. But honestly, I would probably put your number 1 overall pick there if I were you. Also, speaking of that bench, what better spark than Luke Kennard to honestly kind of play that Kevin Huerter role, but more efficiently. giving you about 2 threes a game at 40%, 43% last year. And if I had to guess, this is what the starting lineup would look like. Trae Young at the 1, Dyson Daniels at the 2, Alexander Walker or Riche at the 3. Like I said, I feel like Riche probably at the 3, but you could switch based on matchup. Jalen Johnson at the 4, Kristaps Porzingis at the 5. That's a good starting lineup. And then you have Alexander Walker in the East, I should clarify. Luke Kennard, Asa, and potentially if he's ready to play, and then Okongwu. So kind of rough bench. There's some players that maybe I looked at, I'm overlooking as role players, but that's really what I saw as the people I felt. I mean, really Caleb Houston, if you were able to get back to his college days, I think he'd be a cool piece. But so that leads me to the worst on this team, and I think that is the health. That's what I think could be their Achilles heel, if you will, this season. No pun intended. I think their depth works well if the bench players stay the bench players and you have your starters out there. I know it's a very basic take, but my point is Kristaps, we all know his injury history, and he might give you half a season, but is he going to be effective in those 42 games? That was really the case with the Celtics, is once he got hurt, he never really was the same. Jalen Johnson has been injury-riddled throughout his young career, missing 72 games in the past 2 seasons. Even Luke Kennard has battled a bit with the injury bug. I think that's their key to avoiding disappointment, staying healthy, staying consistent, because as that team gets more camaraderie, plays together more, they're going to get better, and they're going to win games. I really do believe so. I think Quinn Snyder is a great coach for this team. I've been waiting on it to kind of figure it out, because I do remember not last season, but the season before, I saw Quinn Snyder taking this team to heights. They have not been there. This is the year, right? How many times do I have to say it? The East is weak as it probably will ever be, hopefully. And if there's a year for them to jump into the 3 seed, I think it's possible to be a top 3 seed. I think it's possible to get 50 wins, but it's easily as possible to just end up at the play-in with 40 or so wins, just like you do year in and year out. So a lot of it hinges on Trae Young. He's got to be Trae Young for 82. I mean, not 82 games exactly, but from game 1 to game 82. And he's got to show up. He's got to be that Trae Young that led the team, a really underrated team, to the conference finals and shocked the world. And I can see it happening again. I can see them realistically beating some of the top teams. The Knicks, I mean, come on, that's Trae Young's baby. And I could see him beating them in a 7-game series. As good as the Knicks look, they're just good at choking. So I'm not going on the line saying the Hawks are making the conference finals. I'm just saying there's a path. And it starts with a great regular season, putting them back on the map with a top 3 seed, and we'll see what happens there.
Logan?
Yeah, I think that you bring up a really good point about the Hawks and their playoff potential. I don't think Trae Young gets quite enough love as he should for how he performs in the playoffs, especially not from Patrick Beverley. Shout out to that for being like the beef that I didn't know I needed, because Trae Young versus Pat Bev is it's like entertainment. Watching what Trae Young went in on him. He was saying some stuff like, "You win playing games and celebrate on the scores table. Like I go to conference finals. Like we're not the same." Blah blah blah. Like I never really thought I'd find myself liking Trae Young this much, but here we are. Trae Young's low key gained a fan in me just for going at Pat Bev. I got a personal thing against Pat Bev, but that's a whole nother thing. Shout out to him for destroying Russell Westbrook's knee. But looking at this lineup, my biggest point with this team is, Colton, kind of how you mentioned their starting lineup. You don't really know what it's going to be, and you don't know how consistent it's going to be. I feel like Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, and Jalen Johnson are all locked into starting spots on this team. The Kristaps Porzingis, like you said, you don't know what his health situation is going to be this year. As of now, he's probably got a spot, but then you start to do the thing of, well, are you going to play Porzingis at the 4 and start Okongwu at the 5? Or do you play Porzingis at the 5 and bring Zachary Risache into the starting lineup. They started Zachary Risache 73 games last year, and he was 19 years old. I find it hard to believe that they're just going to give up on him being a starter that quickly.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they see him as a better fit off the bench, but I don't know if the Hawks brass will allow them to do that, because you don't draft the guy number 1 overall and don't start him in year 2 unless he's Anthony Bennett. So I think Risache is definitely my X factor for this team, and I think every other NBA expert's X factor for this team, just because he showed flashes last year. And for him to be the number 1 overall pick and not come from the United States college system, obviously a lot of question marks come with his game. But I think that he could elevate his game this year and take like a year 2 leap. Or if they don't utilize him correctly and kind of let him rot on the bench, I think it's going to be very bad for his development. And we could be seeing a situation where this is like a number 1 pick that gets traded in year 2 or 3. I really don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do. This team has a lot of moving parts, but I think the nucleus they have is good. And like you said, they had a great offseason. And I think that their bench pieces are going to be great. Luke Kennard and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are spark plugs off the bench no matter where they play. Alexander Walker proved that in the playoffs. He can give anybody 25 on any given night. And Kennard, when he's in his mode, he's a spot up shooter from the second he crosses half court. So I really think that, it's just I'm interested to see how they're going to use Risache. I like his game, and I think he's got potential, but he is arguably one of the rawest players in the NBA, like talent-wise. He is so moldable. It's just about whether or not Quinn Snyder allows him to be molded.
Yeah, the one question I had coming into this, looking at the Hawks, was did they make the best moves out of the division this offseason? And I think that's a resounding yes. Just very impressed with what they do. Luke Kennard, somebody I hated, especially during his time with the Clippers, because he always seemed to knock down like 5 to 7 threes whenever he played them for some reason. Because he's a great shooter and because he's a great spark plug off the bench and because the Lakers don't know how to defend the perimeter. But that's a rant for another day. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, great defender. Can't wait to see how he brings a spark on that side of the ball as well, because Atlanta's pretty good at that. And that's kind of where they've had their calling card the last few seasons. So I'm excited to see how that gets that much better. The one concern that we've all mentioned is Kristaps. If it's a physical injury, that's fine. If it's like something you can rehab. But the thing he was dealing with during the playoffs was like his lung, was it not, or something like that?
He was like sick.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So if that's something that can't get better or can only be like maintained instead of get fully healed, as opposed to like an ankle injury or something else, that could be concerning, especially for what they gave up for him. But I'm excited at the potential of this team. And again, as you all mentioned, Trae Young, so exciting in the playoffs, especially when it's a big-time matchup or on a big-time court. So I'm looking forward to this Hawks team, but if they don't stay healthy, it could get ugly. They're always going to be in that play-in. We mentioned the Southeast Division should be the play-in invitational, but really the Hawks are that they should be paying rent to the play-in tournament because they're always there. Looking forward to that, though, but I hope they can stay healthy because Trae Young deserves to have a good season, one that he can, talk a little smack. And then I guess I have the last one. It's the Orlando Magic, who were 41-41 last season, 7th in the East, if that speaks to the Southeast division here. The best team was 7th. Anyways, off-season ads. Desmond Bane, pretty big trade, maybe the biggest name trade during the offseason. And then Tyus Jones, an underrated move by them, in my opinion. A great backup there. And then offseason losses, obviously, with the Desmond Bane trade, they lost KCP and Cole Anthony. I can speak to how big of a loss KCP is to your team. They didn't trade for Russell Westbrook, but still, losing KCP in any facet is a big loss. They did draft Jason Richardson and Noah Pinda. And then looking at this team, I think the best part of the team is again going to be the defense. I think this is the top 5 defense in the league, and obviously it gets that much better with Desmond Bain, who could shut down anybody. I'd say like 1 through 3 on any team on any given night. But the worst part of this team, I think, is still the 3-point shooting. Obviously, Desmond Bain makes them a little bit better, but I don't think they still overall collectively are much better enough to be a competitive team, at least in the playoffs, to where they need to knock down those big time shots when the defense ratchets up and gets to the level that the Orlando Magic play with in the regular season and then the playoffs. Everybody plays better defense in the playoffs, obviously, and the Orlando Magic have kind of shown that they're not able to adjust to that quite yet. Obviously, they try to make this move to do that, but I don't know that it's going to get them over the hump like they hoped it would.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
my biggest thing with this team is kind of like you said, that lack of 3-point shooting, I think, is going to rear its ugly head, and that's why I think that Atlanta could overtake them for this division. I really do. Orlando's been getting a lot of predictions to finish pretty high in the East, but I think Atlanta could sneakily take it. Now, they have a good starting 5, like Suggs, Bain, Wagner, Banchero, Carter. It's a good starting 5, and I think this team is really, really, really deep. But I don't think it's a team that I think it's a team that could lose any given night, just because of the fact that offense has some question marks. I think that Desmond Bain's going to be a good fit for this team, both offensively and defensively, shockingly enough. I think he adds that level of defense that the Magic continue to play, and he also gives Jalen Suggs somebody to poke the ball out to in the corner and make a 3. That's I feel like the only consistent 3-point shooter that this team is going to have for the majority of the year. And is this going to be finally the year Jonathan Isaac breaks out? No, it won't. He never will, and he never has. Jonathan Isaac is he's the most interesting NBA career I think I've ever seen. I've never seen somebody with so high as potential as him. Just one, get hurt so often, and also 2, when he's healthy, get underutilized. My X factor for this team, however, is going to be Tristan da Silva. I think what he can do off the bench is going to be pretty indicative of what the Magic can do as a team. I got high hopes for da Silva. I loved watching him in college, but I think that year 2 Tristan da Silva could really break out a little bit coming off the bench for Orlando.
I love that. I love that take. I'm gonna add a guy I like that they added, Jace Richardson. I have a respect. I despise Michigan State and the Spartans as really Purdue's biggest rival throughout the 2010s, but I still have a utmost respect for Tom Izzo, and seeing how quickly Jace was able to kind of take over that Michigan State Spartans system and earn the trust of Tom Izzo. I think that's something that does translate to the NBA, especially at how young he is. Yes, is he a Nepo baby? Sure, but I think he'll prove that that's far from the case early on. And I think he will be an all-rookie team member, and who knows, maybe even make a run for Rookie of the Year. Don't quote me on that, but it's certainly possible. I'm really high on him and his upside. I think he's not a profound shooter, but I do think he is a good shooter and could add some bench shooting to that Magic team. So got to give a shout out to him as a not necessarily an X factor, because I would say Jalen Suggs is the X factor, because he's somebody I could see having a year. Like we know he's going to be good. We know what he is, but I think he'll take it to another level this year. And I think that will be very huge in the Magic maintaining the lead of the Southwest, because I think the Hawks, like you said, could definitely fight them for that title. But I could see that being a 4-5 matchup, honestly, Magic and Hawks this year.
That'd be a fun series.
And that would be a really fun series, offense versus defense. So give me the Hawks in that one, by the way. But it should be close.
Yeah, I think that's the most underutilized part of the Magic team is Jalen Suggs, honestly. Like when Banchero's off the floor, I feel like they should be running the offense through Jalen Suggs. He's a good facilitator, good scorer. they just never have used him enough during his time in Orlando. So I think
Completely
he is a
agree.
key part of this team, but they just really aren't giving him the reps that he needs. They're going all Banchero and then just trying to figure it out, like put some puzzle pieces together when he's off the floor, and he's not getting many minutes off the floor. So they're really not doing a good job of the no Banchero minutes.
Yeah, and one thing real quick I want to mention is the Orlando Magic. Not a fan of the new logo at all.
Really?
Minimalism is killing professional sports, as you are slowly seeing with teams like the Wizards, the Raptors, the Sixers, the Magic, the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Pacers, the Pistons, the Nuggets, the Nets, and the Hawks and the Celtics. You notice how many teams I just listed there? Their
The
logos are
Pacers
just
have had the
circles.
same logos
Their
since
logos
like
are just circles with the logo in it, man. Let's get some excitement going. Now, I don't know. I think the Magic's logo before was fine, and I'm fine if they wanted to update it. But what they changed it to, the logo just looks like boring to me. It's not exciting. The uniforms are. I like the uniforms. I'm excited about the uniforms, but the logo, not it. And speaking of uniforms in this division, tell me why I didn't realize that this happened until today. The Wizards brought back the gold.
Great look. We
so
gotta love
bad.
it.
Right after I made that little meme when we were doing the uniform ranking list, they actually brought it back.
They heard you.
That's influence right there.
You said it was the best jersey of all time. Like
It's the best. If that's the case and people are listening, there's going to be a weird Valentine's Day jersey coming out very soon then. And I don't know which team's going to wear it. But yeah, shout out to the Wizards, I guess, for bringing back the gold, man. That's going to be the swaggiest 14 and 68 team of all time.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I gotta fight for the Pacers here because they have had the same P since I was like in third grade. The only thing they did was they put a circle around it, but if you look at the court, they typically have the just P there. So
And I like that. But the circle, why it's becoming a trend for every team to do this. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's slowly coming into almost every team's logo in one way, shape, or form, and I'm not liking it.
That's fair. No,
I think if
agree.
you can back it up with good jerseys like the Pacers
Magic.
or the Magic, you're all right. But teams like the Knicks or the Celtics may need to think of some new things, even though they are obviously the classic founding teams. Maybe change it up just a little bit. Yeah, it's getting a little dull, getting a little boring.
I'm not a fan when teams are like they're too prideful to make updates. Like it's something like in the MLB you see with the Yankees. Like, oh my gosh, I get it. It's classic. It's cool. It's what you've been doing forever. But with the Celtics, like especially the Bulls, man. I think the Bulls could do so much with the colors that they have, but they just don't. They just don't.
Right.
It's kind of representative of their organization.
Bingo.
They can do a lot. They just don't. They just don't.
There you go.
All right, well, that will do it for the NBA Southeast Division preview. We will move on to our shooting star, where we pick our baller of the week. Logan, do you want to go first?
Absolutely. My shooting star of the week is none other than Miss Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell has been putting up absolute numbers. Colton, did I steal yours?
You did. I mean, it's an easy one, so like
the blessings of going first. Kelsey Mitchell has been doing her best Michael Porter Jr. impression, and no, I don't mean by dropping sound bites left and right. I mean by just scoring in bunches, and the assist numbers aren't crazy high, but Kelsey Mitchell scoring in bunches. 27, 19, 24, and 34 in her last 4 games in the postseason, and is really driving that offense right now. And it has been exciting to watch, and it's got me pretty dialed in on the Fever right now. I might be hopping on the belief train, Alex. So, shout out Kelsey Mitchell for making me a believer.
We welcome you. Yeah, Kelsey Mitchell, don't pass her the ball if you don't want her to shoot it right now because she's shooting it.
Kelsey, the possession ends here, Mitchell.
Yeah. Colton, who you got?
I guess I'll just go. Sorry, Josh sent a picture of Lane Kiffin's daughter in the Discord, and I'm distracted. But
Dating an LSU linebacker.
she's dating Whit Weeks. That's my shooting star. He probably played basketball in high school. I'll give. I'll make Whit Weeks my shooting star this week because Logan took mine.
There we go.
That's beautiful.
He's played basketball at some point in his life. He has to.
Absolutely. At the at the park, one of the two. Like, come on, he deserved it. And shout out to you for being brave enough to say it, Colton. Mine for this week is Brianna Stewart, who on a sprained MCL scored 30 in a game 3 in a losing effort, obviously, but not because of her. She scored all 14 of the Liberty's points in that final quarter. Every single one. Yeah, she didn't even know it. It was a funny press conference afterwards. Probably a little heartbreaking to her as well. But she deserved better, especially at her age with the great season that she put up. She deserved a little more fight from her teammates, especially in that last quarter. So she gets my shooting star for this week.
Yep. Got our first non basketball one there for me.
Yeah.
But,
deservedly so, though, honestly.
Yeah, he earned it. That rivalry, that's going to be a fun game now. You got to tune in.
Oh, for sure.
After you're done with the WNBA, of course.
He's going to lead the SEC in tackles.
And that will do it for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Thanks to Colton and Logan for being on the show, as always. Make sure to subscribe to the Restricted Area YouTube at CX Restricted Area. Follow the Norse Benchwarmers YouTube for exclusive interviews. One just dropped, so you all go check that out. And follow the CX crew on all socials at CX Pod Network. Follow me on Twitter at The Wheel Deal and Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's. Don't forget it. And Logan, where can the people find you?
Logan H_4 on any platform that I happen to exist on. And like I said last time, if there's any I don't exist on, get me on them, man. I like to be connected.
He's a man of the people.
I am.
But thanks to everyone for listening and watching. And until next week, be smooth, everybody.